Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning and good afternoon to all participants who have joined this important meeting in person and online. On behalf of the two commissions, I would like to start by acknowledging the presence of His Excellency Zurab Polakashvili, Secretary General of UNWTO, High Excellency Dato Sri Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Malaysia, the co-chair of this 34th joint meeting, Ms. Zortis Yurosevic, Executive Director of UNWTO, Mr. Harry Huang, Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific of UNWTO, Ms. Natalia Bayona, Director of Innovation, Education, and Investment of UNWTO, Mr. Yoshiako Hompo, Chief of UNWTO Regional Support Office for Asia and the Pacific. Excellencies, Ministers, Ambassadors, affiliate members, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this hybrid meeting of the 34th joint meeting of the UNWTO Commission for East Asia and the Pacific and the UNWTO Commission for South Asia. I also welcome colleagues who are joining this joint meeting virtually. First of all, I would like to invite the Secretary General for a few words.
Thank you, Excellency. Dear Excellencies, dear Ministers, Deputy Ministers, State Secretaries, Ambassadors, dear friends, very happy to meet again after very hard and weird 3 years without masks and presentially. This is first time that after COVID times we are meeting and we have our commission for the region. I think it's very difficult to find better place than Maldives is. I'm sure that many of you, as you are from the region, you visited this fantastic paradise. Who did not visit before, I'm sure that you will love to come back again. I was lucky and I'm happy that I'm come back. I was here in it was October, I think, when we organized the regional program. And here we are again. I want to thank first to our dear host, our chair, our dear friend, dear Minister, for excellent organization of the Commission. Thank, dear Minister, to your team, who were working until very late yesterday night in this hall to make this happen, as beautiful, as nice as we are here. Of course, our greetings to Vice Chair, dear Minister of Her Excellency Dato Haja Nancy Shukri, Minister of Culture of Tourism and Arts of Malaysia. Excellency, very happy to have you with us. And I'm sure that we have a lot of things to discuss, to talk. There are many challenges, there are many interesting things happening. We can do many interesting things together, and let's use this opportunity, this floor, to talk about future of tourism in the region. At the same time, other regions are waiting tourists from this region. So it's very important. It's very interesting where we are. I will talk more, I think, about details during my report later on. Also, I want to greet the ministers and the participants who are connected virtually. I think this is the last time when we will do virtual connection. I hope that very soon we will be back to normal reality, normal life, and it's going everything for that direction. And welcome to Maldives, welcome at our commission, and let's use these 2-3 days to work together, to enjoy together the beauty of islands, and to meet each other. I'm sure that many of us will meet first time. Very happy to have you here, and I'm sure that these 3 days will be very fruitful and very important for all of us to improve and to support again our sector in the region. I want to welcome also new Director or Secretary General of PATA, dear Liz Ortiguera. Very happy. It's very important your presence here. And all delegates and all members, I don't want to miss someone. Of course, our dear Hompo-san, who is boss of regional office in Nara in Japan. Welcome, Hompo-san. Yoko irashaimashita. So, dear Chair, let's continue our commission.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. I now refer to the provisional agenda, which I understand has been shared with you all and is also on the screen now for adoption. Are there any observations on the proposed agenda? If there are no comments, we consider the provisional agenda adopted. In keeping with the agenda, I have the honor of delivering my own communication as the chairperson of this 34th joint meeting. Good morning, everyone. Marhaba and welcome to the Maldives. It's my utmost pleasure as the chair of the 34th CAP-CSA joint meeting to host you all here in this sunny side of life, along with my co-chair, Her Excellency Dato Seri Haja Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Malaysia. Also, I very warmly welcome our Secretary General, His Excellency Zurab Polakashvili, who, with his strong leadership, have helped steer UNWTO to where it is today. Amongst the challenges, trails of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is indeed a great pleasure to have you all here on our Golden Jubilee of tourism. Tourism suffered the greatest crisis on the record in 2020 following an unprecedented health, social, and economic emergency with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. International tourist arrivals and overnight visitors plunged by 73% in 2020 due to a global lockdown, widespread travel restriction, and a massive drop in demand. Asia and the Pacific region saw the largest drop with an 84% decrease in arrivals. About 300 million less than in 2019. As tourism was and still remains a key source of foreign revenue for this region, with 4.4% of the region's total GDP accounting tourism in 2019. The Asia-Pacific region has undoubtedly felt the shock of the pandemic on a substantial level. As of November 2021, Asia and the Pacific remained as the region with the most restrictions in place, with 65% of all destinations completely closed. Coming back to 2022, international tourism has continued its steady recovery into the year, with a noticeably improved performance compared to the weak start of 2021. In 2022, world arrivals have more than doubled compared to January 2021, with an increase of 18 million. Asia and the Pacific have experienced the largest decrease in international arrivals over 2019, that's minus 93%, as several destinations still remain closed to non-essential travel. As we rethink to revive tourism, I stand with our SG, Mr. Zurab's words that I quote: "The safe easing or lifting of restrictions on travel are essential for the restarting of tourism and in obtaining the return of the social and economic benefits the sector offers." Close note, commas. The economic importance of tourism in considerable in Asia Pacific economies, some of which have enjoyed the largest increase in tourism direct GDP during the last 10 years or so. This is why I would like to emphasize on the importance of restarting tourism, especially in our Asia Pacific region where the economies are heavily dependent on tourism. Having said that, the safety of tourists and the local community shall be the utmost priority, and I believe that the Maldives can be taken as a prime example that safety and tourism can coexist in harmony. Though the road to recovery is still uncertain and many challenges remain, global coordination through similar platforms will open up the opportunity to build back more comprehensively towards a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient tourism sector for the future. Now, more than ever, we are in need of an intentionally united tourism sector to drive sustainable growth and improve resiliency for the millions of people whose future depends on this industry. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for supporting and accepting our invitation for this event, which will hopefully enable us to gather our ideas and create a new vision for the global tourism industry, especially to the Asia Pacific region. I hope you have felt the warmth of the Maldivian hospitality, and weather is well these days, as usual. Thank you everyone once again. I hope that this commission meeting proves to be beneficial and that you will all take away valuable knowledge that will contribute to the betterment of tourism in your respective countries. Thank you. I now pass the floor to co-chair of this joint meeting, my colleague, Her Excellency Dato Sri Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Malaysia, to deliver her communication. Excellency.
Well, thank you very much, Excellency. Very good morning. Excellency, Secretary General, Mr. Zurab Pololi Kashvili, Minister of Tourism, Maldives, and Chairperson, His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Mausum, Honorable Ministers, members of the Commissions, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it gives me a great pleasure to meet everyone in person on the occasion of the 34th CAP-CSA joint meeting, an historic milestone for Asia-Pacific member states as more countries in the region enjoy a gradual rebound with the easing of restrictions and border reopenings in our transition towards COVID-19 endemicity. Let me also congratulate our gracious host, the Republic of Maldives, on its Golden Jubilee celebrations this year, marking the 50th anniversary of the Maldives tourism industry. My heartfelt thanks for the kind hospitality extended to member states in hosting the series of events in conjunction with these meaningful celebrations. The Maldives' remarkable tourism recovery has been nothing short of inspiring, and we look forward to exchanging insights and strengthening ties towards further spurring recovery across the region. Currently, according to the latest UNWTO Tourism Barometer, Asia-Pacific recorded a 64% year-on-year increase in international arrivals and a 93% decline compared to 2019 levels. While remaining below the growth level of other regions, we recognize the potential for further growth as more destinations show positive signs in terms of COVID-19 vaccination progress and health indicators, which have since allowed a safe reopening for international tourism. Likewise, with Malaysia, now among the highest vaccinated countries in the world, the government has launched a full reopening of Malaysia's borders to international travelers beginning 1st April 2022, which allows quarantine-free entry for travelers vaccinated against COVID-19. Since 1st May 2022, fully vaccinated travelers are also no longer required to undergo pre-departure and on-arrival COVID-19 tests. Notably, this simplified entry procedures have been largely harmonized between Malaysia and its neighboring countries, encouraging cross-border tourism, which represented Malaysia's largest market share prior to the pandemic. Furthermore, as part of Malaysia's Tourism Recovery Plan 2022, I have recently launched the rollout of robust incentives in the form of vouchers, rebates, discounts, and attractive travel packages in partnership with businesses throughout the tourism ecosystem, including land transport, air transport, accommodation, and special interest tourism. With these efforts underway, I am confident that Malaysia is on track to maximizing its domestic strengths and achieving its target of 2 million international arrivals by year-end. To date, more than half of the government's target has been achieved, with Malaysia recording more than 1 million tourist arrivals in the first 2 months since the reopening. On that note, I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to UNWTO Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Zurab Kashvili, and his team at the Regional Department for Asia Pacific for their strong support, as well as the introduction of timely initiatives which have greatly benefited member states in this region. In these challenging times with multiple crises unfolding around the world, I believe that UNWTO will continue to be an important partner in advancing the global agenda to build forward better. And with that, I wish to encourage all of you to make your utmost contribution to the discussion and deliberations of this meeting, which will go a long way towards reaffirming our close partnership for a stronger and better tourism industry in the Asia-Pacific region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for your communication. Now I invite our colleagues joining this meeting online to switch on their cameras to take a group photo. Thank you very much. Yeah. Let's now welcome the UNWTO Secretary General, His Excellency Zurab Kashvili, to present his report on UNWTO's global activities.
Thank you, dear Chair, dear Vice Chair, dear Ministers, Excellencies. It's my pleasure to start our report for 2021-2022 from the previous commission, which we hold virtually. And I will begin and I will give a brief overview of the tourism trends and scenarios where we are now. And then I will update you all UNWTO work at the global level, but with a specific focus on Asia and the Pacific. Let us begin with the current state of tourism. Our data shows that international tourism continued to recover in the first quarter of 2022, with particularly stronger performance in February and March. Every global region enjoyed a significant rebound, even we are still way below pre-pandemic levels. In Asia and the Pacific, destinations recorded a 64% increase in international arrivals in the first quarter of 2022 when compared to the previous year. I want to clarify that we're talking about first quarter because unfortunately in June we can't have the numbers of first 6 months. We will have it later. But good news are that the number of visitors increased by 64% if we compare first quarter of 2021. That's around 2.7 million more arriving this year than in 2021. Again, talking about first quarter. So what does this mean for our economies? The economic contribution of tourism, by which we mean tourism and direct gross domestic product, was estimated at 1.9 trillion in 2021, slightly up from the 1.6 trillion of 2020, but far from the 3.5 trillion it's represented before the crisis. This would mean that the pandemic has led to an accumulated loss of 3.5 trillion in direct tourism GDP in 2020 and in 2021. Now we see more positive numbers. The start of this year was much stronger than the start of 2021. For example, notably, we have seen an increase in outbound spending. In 2019, the average amount of tourists spent on an international trip was $1,000. Now in 2022 is up to 1,400 $. This helped international tourism receipts reach an estimate 713 billion in 2021, a 4% increase in real terms of the previous year. But the restart of tourism remains fragile and uneven. It will depend on vaccine equity, the lifting of remaining travel restrictions, consumer confidence, and demand. The issue of travel restrictions is especially relevant here in Asia and the Pacific, and many of our members remain cautious about welcoming tourism back. We will continue to work with them to restart tourism safely and responsibly. As I have said, we believe this will only be temporary. Asia and the Pacific has a strong tourism sector and has the potential to return strongly. What about the outlook for the rest of the year? Based on the latest results and trends in bookings, UNWTO revised its outlook for 2022 upwards, with international arrivals now expand to reach 55% to 70% of 2019 levels. However, as mentioned, recovery is fragile and uneven, and uncertainty could slow it down. There is another problem, which we all know: the Russian invasion of Ukraine is impacting tourism in the region and beyond, with the major effects of inflation, oil prices, and consequently the cost of travel. This adds also an additional pressure to tourism companies struggling to recover from the crisis. Alongside this, we need to address some challenges. In all regions, Asia and the Pacific included, we are seeing human resources shortage, for example, in airports. This highlights why we focus on jobs and training. We need people there to meet strong demand and get the world moving again. Even in the face of such insecurity, we have remained focused on our more core commission. Since we met online in September last year at the 33rd joint meeting, UNWTO has continued our vital work getting tourism moving again. We have been consistent regarding our priorities, which guide our way forward: to build a smarter tourism through innovation and digital transformation, to promote investments in entrepreneurship, to focus on tourism education and jobs, to build greater resilience, including through market intelligence and data, and to protect our natural and cultural heritage through tourism. I will now give a brief overview of our work from the last joint meeting online last September to here today in Maldives. Dear colleagues, we concluded that meeting determined to meet in person again, and we have succeeded. During our time apart, have ensured tourism has always been part of the conversation. In October, shortly after 33rd joint meeting, we were co-organizers of the Future of Tourism World Summit in Barcelona. From this came a call of action to restart and recover better. Agreed to buy destinations, but also with a vital private sector backing. From here, we went to London and the world travel market. This is nice photo. I didn't know. This time is our high-level minister summit was focused on investing in tourism's sustainable future, bringing this timely topic at the leading trade fair. We focus on investing in tourism, infrastructure, and the people who make the sector possible, with the aim of creating more added value jobs in tourism through education. The UNWTO Knowledge Lab will soon be launched. The plan UNWTO Tourism Education Roadmap will help guide members create tourism education strategies. Furthermore, the first observatory on quality on tourism education and jobs will be set to monitor our progress. This way, we can deliver more and better tourism jobs. In November, all eyes were on Scotland as Glasgow hosted the UN Climate Change Conference. UNWTO was there. I am pleased to report that just 5 months since we was launched the COP26 Climate Summit, more than 530 businesses and destinations have signed the Glasgow Declaration on Climate Action in Tourism. This is our ambitious commitment to reach net zero emissions by 2050 at the latest. Interest has been strong across Asia and the Pacific, and I urge you all be part of our sustainable future. Interest has been strong across Asia and the Pacific. The Maldives has been loud and powerful voice in highlighting the cost of inaction. Rising sea levels and more frequent and serious extreme weather event risks devastating communities and hurting our sector. Small island developing states that rely on tourism and the blue economy are particularly vulnerable. UNWTO is very happy to be part of the recently established CIDS Tourism Organizations Working Group. The Global Tourism Plastic Initiative is also growing in reach and importance. We will continue to supporting all signatories as they accelerate the shift to a circular economy, including through the first global roadmap on food waste reduction in tourism. And as I have always said, we need the measure to manage. We will create international standards in destination management governance. Through the development of the statistical framework for measuring the sustainability of tourism, UNWTO is providing a common framework to measure the economic, social, and environmental links of tourism at national and subnational levels. To date, 55 countries have implemented a plan to implement or have expressed interest in undertaking of MST pilots, and I'm very pleased to see Asia and the Pacific countries among them. At the same time, a second edition of the publication, Experiences from Pilot Studies in Measuring the Sustainability of Tourism, will showcase new pilots. This way we can see what we are doing well and where we can do better. Dear colleagues, in the area of women's empowerment, we are making tourism an essential pillar of SDG 5. Our key gender mainstreaming guidelines for the public sector and tourism guidelines are now available in Spanish, Arabic, English, and French. And in October, we launched our center stage Women's Empowerment during COVID-19 recovery project. And this will continue to strengthen, coordinate, and focus work towards gender equality in tourism. We ended the challenging year strongly. Our 24th General Assembly was held in Madrid at the start of December. Once again, I thank all of you who joined us in person in Madrid, and members voted to adopt the International Code for the Protection of Tourists. The code provides a comprehensive set of principles and recommendations for the protection of tourists in emergency situations. It also makes clear the consumer rights of international tourists in the post-pandemic scenario. I call on you all to do the same. Also in Madrid, I was proud to announce the winners of Best Tourism Villages Initiative. Of the 44 destinations we named as our first tourism villages, 10 are from Asia and the Pacific. That means more than 25-30%. And I would want to congratulate all of you. They show the power of tourism for rural development and to protect heritage. And they form part of what we hope will become the biggest network of rural destinations in the world. Further, 3 villages are part of our upgrade program, and we will work with them to become top rural destinations. As you know, we announced the first time last year this project, which is Best Villages project, and I'm very happy that the interest and number of participants are growing. Can we show the video? I wanted to pause and to show the very short video. Thank you. As you saw, this is the call for 2022. We announced 1.5 months ago. We have another 2 months to apply the new candidates for best villages. The idea is to create a network of best villages in the world. At the same time, we have another part of villages which we call upgrade program, and we have 3 from the region there. I mean, we have 11 winners, best villages, and another 3 to be upgraded. It was first time we started last year, and I'm sure this year we will have more and more villages. And the idea is at the end of the day to have the network, even we have platform where we can promote this destination. The main goal is, of course, to create new jobs, and tourism is the best and fastest way to create new jobs. We want to support villages with education, to export their innovation and investments. So this is some pilot but very ambitious, very interesting and very challenging project. If we have the winners, we can also show another video. I'm sorry, it's very, very emotional, and you will see the villages from your countries. And if we are ready, we can put.
Ali Hamukuytan Kuykichi.
Hepinizi bekliyoruz.
여러분 모두를 환영합니다.
Welcome.
欢迎来到
Nei migliori villaggi turistici.
Bienvenido a los mejores pueblos turísticos.
No, it was not the correct version. I will find now and we will put at the end. Okay, let's continue. Because I wanted to show the best villages. It's another version. I'm sorry if we're not ready for this moment. So alongside this, we are working to promote mountain tourism, including through our partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, gastronomy and wine tourism and sports tourism. So we are creating the different trends. Here we have FAO. Also in tourism and best villages project, we have support of FAO, and it's very important because they have a lot of also possibilities. We want to support farmers which are working 365 days to serve and to send the alimentation to tourists. It's very important, I think, and very important part of rural development. Finally, we ended the year looking of the future of our sector. We announced plans for a new international center associated with our Academy for Tourism training in Switzerland, and again showing our commitment to investing in people. Next slide, please. Yes, and from the start of pandemic, our publications have been the go-to source of trusted information for government and businesses. In January, our data was also used to inform the 2022 edition of the World Economic Situations and Prospects Report by the United Nations. Yet more proof of our high relevance. We then contributed to a debate of the blue economy, especially relevant given how many destinations across Asia and the Pacific rely on a healthy coastal economy and tourism. In February, UNWTO chaired a special session and joined a heads of state panel at the One Ocean Summit hosted by the French presidency of the Council of the European Union. Our high-level advocacy extends beyond the region. Next slide, please. UNWTO was the last organization, by the way, when pandemic started, when we visited World Health Organization headquarters in Geneva before they declared an official pandemic. And we returned in February of this year, again in Switzerland, because Switzerland was among the destinations leading the lifting of travel restrictions. And we will continue, of course, working with WHO, reflecting the close links between public health and travel and tourism. Alongside this, we are extending tourism influence for outside of our sector. Our work reflects the unique cross-cutting nature of tourism. Also in February, during that trip, we signed the first even partnership with UEFA, reflecting the shared values of tourism and sports. These same shared values, we want to focus on World Congress on Snow and Mountain Tourism in Andorra. And again, here we built our shared work to make tourism a pillar of rural development. Last March, I also addressed to tourism ministers of European Union in Dijon, France, in-person meeting for the first time since pandemic. This was the opportunity to strengthen our already excellent partnership with the several member states. I advanced our sector place in collective work with the 27-nation bloc. Moreover, we continue to work closely with the leading economies, with the G20 serving as the voice of tourism. We are very proud that we will be presented and to be the part of that very important ministerial summit event, which will happen in Bali, in Indonesia. And the same time we linked this meeting with the World Tourism Day, which also is happening in Bali. So all attention and all focus will be on Bali, and I think that will be one of the greatest event of this year, not only in region but for the world tourism. As the presidency them says, we can only recover together, and if we recover stronger. UNWTO is the part of the wider UN collaboration with the presidency aiming to identify concrete actions to propose by adoption of the G20 Leaders Summit. In March, we returned to Europe, and explicit request of several of our members, we held emergency session of our Executive Council and the first ever extraordinary General Assembly, both in Madrid. UNWTO General Assembly decided to suspend Russian membership of UNWTO. I again thank our members for standing up for the values that are foundation of tourism. Our organization is the voice of tourism in Asia and Pacific and in every region. Last month, United Nations General Assembly held the first ever high-level thematic debate on tourism and its place in inclusive recovery. Co-organized by UNWTO, it was a landmark moment for our organization and for our sector. I had honor of being the first Secretary General to address the General Assembly. Once again, I want to thank His Excellency Abdullah Shahid of the Maldives and President of UN General Assembly for welcoming us to this historical venue. The high-level debate was the result of growing relevance, including within the United Nations system. This is the joint success, and it's one I hope to repeat by making the debate an annual fixture on the General Assembly calendar. And we have good news, Excellencies, that we will have every year our day, let's say, in headquarters of United Nations. And again, this idea came from His Excellency from the presidency, Maldivian presidency, which will end in September. And we were very lucky to have this opportunity, to have our friend there who supported the idea. And every year we will have a tradition. And I kindly know I will be very happy if you can participate in that very important meeting, because this is the place and stage to send the voice in UN. UN never talked about tourism sector, as many politicians and many leaders worldwide, they never paid attention before COVID to the sector, and now it's becoming very important. Tourism is not only plane and hotel, it depends on many people depends on tourists. Many families are waiting still tourists to come in their islands and their countries, especially islands I wanted to mention, because there are many countries which are living and depending on tourists. If we can show now a very short video again about this very important conference in New York, high-level debate. Please, and then I will continue.
By bringing people together, tourism can promote solidarity and trust, crucial ingredients in advancing the global cooperation that is so urgently needed at this time. The United Nations World Tourism Organization is strongly committed to this work.
This is a landmark moment. We had to wait nearly 20 years to debate tourism at the UN General Assembly.
I'm delighted to welcome you to today's high-level debate of the General Assembly on putting sustainable and resilient tourism at the heart of an inclusive recovery.
Every part of the United Nations system, including the World Tourism Organization as its specialized agency for the sector, can leverage tourism to help us achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
We need a better tourism if we want a better planet.
We must bring the sustainable tourism to the forefront as we build back better, stronger, greener, and bluer post-pandemic.
We need the jobs that tourism can provide, and we need them more than ever. Not only for our recovery, but also to provide people with a better future.
Tourism can play a vital role in catalyzing our transition to living in better harmony with the nature.
Debemos convertir al turismo en una herramienta que contribuya a tener una sociedad más próspera, más justa, más igualitaria y más inclusiva.
Il existe un fort potentiel de croissance pour toutes les formes de tourisme à impact limité, comme l'écotourisme, le tourisme lent ou le tourisme doux.
Nuestro deseo es implementar una forma de viajar basada en el respeto hacia las personas, hacia los lugares, posibilitando un acercamiento más profundo a la realidad del país y el intercambio cultural.
Tourism is the most exciting, important, relevant industry in the world, Mr. Secretary General.
So next year, hope to see all countries from the region at the next General Assembly. So let's continue. I will finish very fast, I think. We now look to the year ahead with resolve, determination, and optimism. Our sector is united and recognized like never before. We are stepping up our work in innovation and digital transformation. By partnering with the largest technology companies such as Amadeus, MasterCard, Cisco, Telefonica, amongst others, UNWTO Digital Futures for SMEs program aims to provide digital training key issues. The first stage is planned to reach the 20,000 SMEs from 22 countries, including here in Asia and the Pacific. Alongside this, our Tourism Tech Adventures Innovation Forum will continue to be a platform for tourism stakeholders and startups to meet and address the biggest challenges with the smartest solutions. We are also supporting the best young tourism talent. At the end of this month, we will celebrate the first Global Youth Tourist Summit in Italy, and it will connect young talent with sector leaders and inspire change. We will advance more and better destination management. UNWTO will work to create international standards in destination management governance, in collaboration with the International Standardization Organization and continue to support members. We will review, update, and expand UNWTO Quest program. Connected to this, during 2022, we will carry out a follow-up of the measure taken by signatories of the private sector commitment to the Global Code of Ethics. And we will continue to be there on the ground supporting our members. In Asia and the Pacific, we are working with the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and the Asian Development Bank. For example, in July this year, we will be launching at the UN High-Level Political Forum in New York, a new Tourism for SDGs Indicators toolkit to measure tourism development impacts on societies and economies. Indeed, these partnerships are part of our wider work delivering 50 technical assistance projects with a budget of around $9 million US. Next slide, please. And alongside this, we reached a new agreement with World Bank, which makes us a trusted partner to implement their projects. I thank you all for your support in all what we do. Once again, I thank you, generous hosts, the warm hospitality, and we have that video I wanted to show. This will be the last video, I promise, from my side. And let's see 44 best villages among one, where we have 11 from the region. We can start.
Nuestro pueblo es parte de lo que somos.
Es parte de nuestras raíces y nuestra cultura.
كثير.
هي ماضينا وهي مستقبلنا.
每一个游客都是我们的朋友.
Prav vsak gost lahko najde razlog za nasmeh.
Y para ofrecer nuestra mejor gastronomía.
Para mostrarles los alrededores.
E ver os sorrisos nos rostos deles.
наш край y en наш дом.
كل واحد كيحترمها.
Y a todos quienes quieran compartir
as nossas tradições.
여러분 모두를 환영합니다.
Μοιράζομαι σημαίνει αναπτύσσομαι.
Dufatanyije twese twarema ubucuti hagati yacu.
강계시마스.
Kültürümüz.
Doğamız, unser Erbe.
Kanthi paninggalan netra, gesang, sarwa endah.
Al turismo fa parte da noi altri.
Et de ce que nous voulons être.
Καλώς ορίσατε.
Bienvenidos.
Welcome.
Welcome.
欢迎来到
Nei migliori villaggi turistici.
Bienvenido a los mejores pueblos turísticos.
Thank you, Secretary General, for your report. I wish to thank Secretary General for informing us about UNWTO's vision, priorities and program of work for 2022 and 2023, as well as the key initiatives, activities this Secretariat is undertaking to support members in their efforts to restart tourism in the post-pandemic period. We applaud your hard work, Excellency, and efforts put in, especially encouraging traveling and acting as a role model during one of the toughest times that the global tourism industry has faced. Further, initiatives such as the Best Tourism Village has helped bring UNWTO's vision to life and promote more sustainable and transformative approaches in developing tourism in rural destinations. Thank you. I now invite delegates to share any comments or observations they may have on the Secretary General's report. Thank you all. I'm sure the report is very comprehensive. Thank you, Secretary General. Now I move on to agenda number 5, UNWTO in Asia and the Pacific. This agenda item on UNWTO in Asia and the Pacific, in other words, the regional activities in our region, will be presented by Mr. Harry Wong, Director of UNWTO Regional Department for Asia and the Pacific. That to be followed by Mr. Yoshiaki Hampo, Chief of UNWTO Regional Support Office for Asia and the Pacific. The floor is yours, Mr. Huang.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Excellencies, esteemed delegate and friend, very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our friend in the Pacific Island. This is our first hybrid joint commission meeting after having it online for 2 consecutive years. And first and foremost, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Malsoum for hosting this historical meeting and for welcoming our delegate with such so much warmth and for providing us with such impeccable meeting arrangement. As the Secretary General has already covered the UNWTO's important global activities, including numerous initiatives and guidelines, my report entitled UNWTO in Asia and the Pacific, which you can download from the website, shall highlight what we at the Regional Department for Asia and the Pacific implemented and some of the important upcoming activities planned for the last quarter of the year 2022. And I would like to begin my report by pointing out that even though we began this year with the geopolitical and COVID-related challenges, but we now see a significant rebound of international tourist arrival as many countries gradually lift their travel restrictions. However, Asia and the Pacific, the Secretary General mentioned, is the region that has suffered the most in these difficult times due to the closure of the international borders and application of highest level of travel restriction by still many member states. So in spite of these enormous challenges that we have faced in the region, ironically, the COVID-19 crisis has made our working relationship with our members stronger, and it has also drawn us closer to you and has united us more than ever in our determination to utilize the power of tourism for good. So we have got the most active participation and has constantly received the positive responses from our esteemed member states. So let me take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to all of you for your great support to UNWTO, and we only hope that we have not been overwhelmed by our non-stop emails to you. While we have been working from home for 2 years since March 2020, and we're still partially working from home, the exclusive event and activities in this report has been some of the best products that UNWTO's technical department, such as innovation, education, and investment department, and tourism market intelligence and competitiveness have delivered for our member state benefit. Apart from our well-established annual events, such as UNWTO PATA, the Regional Forum on Tourism Trend and Outlook, and Asia and the Pacific, the Executive Training Program, as well as IFT, the Macau Training Program. The RDAP organized another hybrid the regional conference on empowerment of women in tourism, inaugurated by Her Excellency, the Minister Nancy Suckley, in Kuala Lumpur last November. In this conference, that we evaluated how the COVID-19 has contributed to worsening the socio-economic situation of women among the tourism workforce. And we also explored the ways to improve the working condition and career progression of women employees in tourism in Asia and the Pacific. In December 2021, and this year, March, that RDAP presented technical online workshop on measuring the sustainability of tourism for Asia and the Pacific in collaboration with the Department of Tourism of the Philippines. And apart from the foregoing, that UNWTO has made an extra effort in supporting LDCs and SIDS countries in the region by providing 7 members, include Laos, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Pakistan, Samoa, and Timor-Leste with exclusive bilateral online consultation meeting. And during this meeting that we offer them both technical and policy recommendations in their tourism recovery endeavors. So skill development remains an integral part of the services that we provide to our member states. And we are very proud of having this successful organization of the 15th Executive Training Program on Tourism Policy and Strategy under the theme of domestic tourism. And we organized in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism of Maldives in the hybrid format last October. In this training program that UNWTO sponsored one senior official per member state with financial support from the government of Korea. And I'm very pleased to underline that 53 officials representing 25 members, including the deputy minister from Iran, joined this iconic capacity building program. And RDAP is equally proud of continuing our partnership with IFT Macau over the last 6 years, through which we have offered tailor-made training program to over 320 senior tourism officials from 36 member states. As for the technical assistance project that we are extremely happy to have supported our members with technical tourism recovery plan, and these were implemented by UNWTO's Technical Cooperation Department, as well as Institutional Relations and Partnership Department. And countries that benefit from this technical assistance program include China, Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Timor-Leste, in collaboration with international organizations such as EIF and JICA. As far as the publications concerned, that RDAP shall launch a regional study on empowerment of tourism, women in tourism in Asia and the Pacific. And this report is a sequel to the conclusion and recommendation of Malaysia Conference and derived from the second edition of UNWTO Global Report on Women in Tourism. As we wait for the publication to be completed, that we are very pleased to share its executive summary with you, that you can find it on your table. In addition to the event that organized by the UNWTO, that we have contributed to our members' tourism program through the UNWTO's technical environment, as well as our presence in their national tourism activities, which include Pacific Island Tourism Research Seminar in partnership with Pacific Tourism Organization, and ASEAN Tourism Forum held in Sihanouk, Cambodia last January. During the ASEAN members shared their commitment to restarting tourism. And lastly, for our upcoming event, that RDFE is committed to supporting our member states in organizing global and regional events. These include the G20 Tourism Minister meeting and global celebration of World Tourism Day in both 26th, 27th of September, and 16th edition of Asia and Pacific Executive Training Program in Korea in early November, and World Tourism Conference in Kota Kinabalu in Malaysia in late November, and UNWTO South Asia workshop on measuring the sustainable tourism and TSA in Nepal, and 7 UNWTO World Forum on Gastronomy Tourism in Nara, Japan, both being organized in December. In closing, allow me to reassure you of our solid commitment to working constantly with you by readjusting our program of work to better serve our member states and to better support your effort in the exercise of restarting tourism. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Hariwang. Now I will give the floor to Mr. Yoshiaki Hompo.
Dear Secretary General Zdravopolkashvili, dear Ministers, Excellencies, Ms. Zorica Irosevic, Mr. Harry Wong, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some highlights on past, ongoing, and future activities conducted by UNWTO Regional Support Office for Asia and the Pacific. As always, our office has strived to support UNWTO priorities and assist the work of Regional Department for Asia and the Pacific in the region. Today, I report some of our efforts on the promotion of sustainable tourism development related to the post-pandemic recovery process. Firstly, a symposium on promoting sustainable destination management through tourism was held in Tokyo last December. This event was organized to promote the handbook on evidence-based sustainable tourism management, published in March 2022, and prepared in collaboration with the Japanese Research Institute and with the support of Japan Tourism Agency. This publication will serve as a basis for the Vietnam project for sustainable tourism destination management, scheduled to start in the third quarter of 2022. This project consists of a workshop and guidelines on sustainable destination management, tailor-made to the challenges and opportunities of the Vietnam tourism stakeholders. Secondly, we have worked to strengthen UNWTO's relationship with Pacific Islands countries through two key projects related to sustainable tourism development and COVID-19 recovery. One is a publication on sustainable tourism product development opportunities in the Pacific Islands, scheduled to be published in the third quarter of 2022. In the course of this year, our office will also organize a webinar on sustainable tourism product development opportunities in the Pacific Islands, based on the outcomes of our research in collaboration with the Pacific Islands Center. The second project is the UNWTO Tourism Stories for the Pacific, led in collaboration with the Pacific Tourism Organization. That includes video series and an ebook that will be finalized very soon. You can see some examples of ebook and videos on the slide. The project aims to showcase stories of people of the Pacific working in tourism, who are examples of resiliency during the COVID-19 pandemic. You will discover 7 featured stories from Pacific tourism heroes of Fiji, Palau, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, and Kiribati. Thirdly, we have the honor to contribute to the peer review process of UNWTO and JICA joint manual on tourism for sustainable development goals, project-based indicators for success. And we look forward to continue supporting the UNWTO International Relations and Partnership Department and JICA towards the completion of this spearheading project. In the future, we'll carry on with our flagship tourism educational program, the fourth Future Tourism Leader Workshop, focusing on sustainable tourism development. It is expected to be held during the first quarter of 2023 in Kyoto. The workshop will be co-hosted with UNWTO affiliate member Kyoto University of Foreign Studies and JICA, and will target undergraduate and graduate students from Japanese universities and beyond, as well as young professionals interested in tourism. Furthermore, our office has continued supporting the promotion of UNWTO's established and new groundbreaking initiatives in the region and in Japan, such as the International Network for Sustainable Tourism Observatories, the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism, the Glasgow Declaration for Climate Action in Tourism, the Global Tourism Plastic Initiative, the UNWTO Best Tourism Village Initiative, and the third Global Gastronomy Startup Competition. Before I conclude my report, I would like to take this opportunity to remind you of the 7th UNWTO World Forum on Gastronomy Tourism to be held in Nara, our beautiful ancient capital of Japan, on the 13th to 15th December. Our office is honored to support the forum and will also organize a side event in collaboration with the Japan Tourism Agency. You are all warmly invited to join us and the rest of the world in Nara to discuss and share innovative ideas and good practices on sustainable gastronomy tourism. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to continue our collaboration and the mutual effort towards a brighter, more sustainable and prosperous future for tourism. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Hompo. I thank Mr. Huang and Mr. Hompo for briefing us on the important initiatives, activities that have been carried out and are upcoming in Asia and the Pacific region. I would also like to note and thank UNWTO for giving us the honor of hosting and experience the first major physical event post-pandemic, the UNWTO Executive Training Program held in September 2021 in the Maldives. Thank you, team. Does any member wish to take the floor on this item? If there are no interventions, with that, I have completed my part in chairing this joint meeting. I hand over the conduct of the rest of the agenda items to my colleague, the co-chair, Her Excellency Dato Sri Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Malaysia.
Thank you, Excellency Minister, for presiding over the previous agenda items. As we proceed with agenda item 6, I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Hiroyuki Kitagawa, President of JTB Corporation, Asia and the Pacific, to present his report on UNWTO affiliate members, the latest developments, reforms, and future outlook. Mr. Kitagawa, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Co-Chair, Secretary General, Your Excellencies, Ministers, Ambassadors, the delegates, representatives of affiliate members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Chair of the Board of the affiliate members, to briefly refer to our main challenges, needs, and opportunities for the future with a specific focus on the region. I'd like to highlight that for the affiliate members, it is of great importance to be present at these ministerial meetings to share with the governments of the member states their proposals and point of view on the priority topics of the organization and the tourism industry. So I'd like to move on with my intervention focused on the latest developments, reforms, and future outlook from 2021 to 2022. The intervention includes 4 main topics. Number 1, regarding to the membership status in the Asia and the Pacific region. Asia and the Pacific is the 3rd largest region in terms of affiliate members, representing 14% of the total. I am confident that the private sector can strongly contribute to the development of the tourism sector in the Asia and the Pacific. Hence, the importance of increase of efficiency of the affiliate membership, promoting promotional strategy for the benefit of all the member states of the region and of the organization. I would like to point out that the board of the affiliate members expresses its availability and willingness to keep working on the quality-oriented expansion of the affiliate membership in the region. To this purpose, the Regional Support Office in Nara, Japan represents an excellent opportunity to increase the effectiveness of the promotional strategy in the region, and so increasing its representation in the affiliate members network. I underline the brief that both the current affiliate members from the region and the members states could support this effort. Number 2, strengthening the integration of the affiliate members within the organization and networking with governments. Priority objective for the affiliate members. The main expectations and needs of the affiliate members, as confirmed by the result of the survey launched by the Affiliate Membership Department in 2021, are as follows. More effective opportunities for networking with member states. Enhanced engagement of the affiliate members in the UNWTO agenda. Stronger participation of the affiliate members in the UNWTO statutory meetings and thematic events. Please allow me to express my satisfaction because the UNWTO is giving the right priority to those objectives as shown by several ongoing initiatives reflected in the Program of Work 2022. Number 3, Regarding to the reform of UNWTO affiliate membership legal framework, positive change for the affiliate members. I would now like to talk about one of the main efforts that were carried out towards the fulfillment of the objectives mentioned above. The approval of the reform of the UNWTO affiliate membership legal framework by the General Assembly at its 24th session held in Madrid in December 2021. It is worth mentioning that the reform process was carried out through a permanent collaboration and coordination between the affiliate members, the member states, and UNWTO Secretariat. The reform will allow for a greater UNWTO capacity to attract quality affiliate membership and a more effective integration of the affiliate members with members and within the organization. In particular, the affiliate members consider extremely promoting the creation of the Committee on Matters related to affiliate membership, whose first meeting was held on the 26th of May. This new committee, which is replacing and consistently expanding the mandate of former committee for the review of applications for affiliate membership, will serve as the much necessary institutional framework for the interaction of the affiliate members with the organizations, statutory organs, and for the better integration of the affiliate members with UNWTO and member states. I also want to highlight that 2 members from Asia and the Pacific form part of the CMAM, Islamic Republic of Iran and China. The reform will also provide a better regulation of the functions and working methods for the affiliate members, governing bodies. It extends the mandate of board from 2 to 4 years to align it with mandate of Secretary General, and so facilitating the integration of the affiliate members in the agenda for the next 4 years. For the function of board are now fully aligned with the UNWTO statutes. It provides more precise specification of prerogatives and responsibilities of the plenary, such as the introduction of quorum for decision-making and decisions by consensus, except when a majority is required. Lastly, legal reform will also allow to achieve a more quality-oriented affiliate membership through establishment of a more solid and demanding admission procedure. To enhance the candidate really has the profile and the capacity to add value to the organization. Number 4, priorities of the affiliate members for the upcoming period. We strongly support the promotion of the affiliate membership in the region through closer collaboration with the Secretariat, the member states, and support office in Nara. In Asia and the Pacific, the quality-oriented expansion of the affiliate membership has yielded excellent results. since the 24th UNWTO General Assembly held in December 2021. Affiliate members from 3 countries of the Asia and the Pacific region were admitted: Japan, Republic of Korea, and Malaysia. We also seek greater involvement of the affiliate members from the region within main activities of the UNWTO in priority topics such as sustainability, innovation, gastronomy, sport tourism, and screen tourism. Lastly, we will take advantage of the new facilities and tools implemented through the modernized legal framework of the affiliate membership, especially the launching of the new CMAM to reach the better engagement of the AMs in the statutory meetings and thematic events of the UNWTO that will be held in the region, such as the World Tourism Day, which will be excellent opportunity to organize a special session dedicated to the affiliate membership. The 7th UNWTO World Forum on Gastronomy, Tourism in Nara, Japan in December, where affiliate members with knowledge and expertise on the topic may be involved as panelists. So now I'd like to thank you again for giving to the representative of the affiliate members this opportunity to share their concerns and messages with the member of the Regional Commission. I also want to express the full availability and commitment by the UNWTO private sector to support the organization and its member states in their efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kitagawa, for your presentation. Let's now move on to agenda item 7 on the policy discussion about member states' updates on tourism recovery and restarting tourism. As you were informed in advance, interventions will be done on a first-come, first-served basis, and the duration will be 3 minutes per member country. You were informed previously that Ms. Sandra Carvao, the Chief of Tourism Market Intelligence and Competitiveness of UNWTO, was going to moderate this policy discussions, but owing to some urgent personal obligations, she has not been able to join us today. I will now, this session will be moderated by Ms. Zorica Jurosevic. May I now invite Ms. Zorica Jurosevic to moderate this session. Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Jurosevic. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. Your Excellencies, Minister of Tourism of Maldives, thank you for the very warm welcome and the hospitality. Dear Ministers, Ambassadors, Sandra is joining us by remotely, and she will be participating on the parts of this session. As the Secretary General was requesting in all regional commission, and no difference in this one, we want the Secretariat to understand better what are the challenges and the opportunities in building recovery. We know that the region is quite a particular region when it comes to travel restrictions, but we are as well looking at the transformation of the sector from the crisis to a tourism that is going to be more conducive and more impacting. So we are here to share, to learn from each other so that we can inspire change and that we can guide the Secretariat to better respond to the particular needs of individual countries, but as a region as well. Just to recall, as the Secretary General was mentioning from the tourism barometer, we know that in Europe we are picking up by plus 199%, America 97%, Middle East plus 89%, Africa plus 51%, and this region, Asia Pacific, is only picking up of 44%. Now, we have as well to understand that these 44% come from a very large base. We are not talking about 90% of increase in Africa, which represents 3% of global tourism, as we are speaking here of a region which represents 1/4 of international tourism in 2019. So it is a very important region, not only for international tourism inbound, but as well outbound. So we are particularly interested in carrying out this discussion with you so that we can better prepare how we are going to move forward. I would like to pass the floor to Sandra. We are going to divide the interventions in two parts so that we can align with all other regions and so that we can as well produce, at the request of the Secretary General, an overall report and analysis and comparison from all regions. Sandra, I pass you the floor. We will have two aspects that we will cover on a very short survey from your phones online, and then I will invite the countries for their respective interventions when it comes to policies. Sandra, the floor is yours. Do we have an internet problem? We can't hear you. Sorry for that. Technology is beautiful, but technology cannot work sometimes. So, in order of efficiency, maybe we will do the other way around. As I said, you will have on the screen a system that will allow you from your phone to say what are your forecasts, short forecasts from your perspective, from your country, and then what are the 3 key challenges that are preventing a speedier recovery. In order to discuss on the policy level, I will name the countries as they requested. I will first invite you, Sir, Minister of Maldives, to take the floor.
Thank you. Excellencies, ministers, ambassadors, and UNWTO members. As we move into the 50th year of tourism, we believe that the tourism industry in the Maldives is now more resilient than ever. After COVID-19 pandemic last year in 2021, proved to be clear evidence of this as it turned out to be one of the most remarkable years in the history of Maldivian tourism industry. Bouncing back from the pandemic at an astounding rate with total tourist arrival of 1.3 million, surpassing far beyond our forecast of 1 million tourist arrival in end of 2021. Of course, the nature of the Maldives' core tourism product, the one island, one resort concept has been most instrumental in mitigating the impact of COVID-19. It allowed the destination to open its borders to international tourists rather quickly before other destinations. The Maldives opened up its borders with just the resort subsector, with the COVID-19 situation in the country being constantly monitored. The extensive vaccination program that followed undoubtedly played a great role in the improvement of the COVID-19 situation all over Maldives. With now over 97.5% of resort employees having completed their vaccination doses, the Maldives government had given very high priority to place tourism sector employees at the forefront of vaccination queue. Just after the health sector workers and those of high risk, hence with the improvement of COVID-19 situation all over the Maldives, and thorough research and review of policy levels, COVID-19 restrictions have been relaxed to a great extent in 2022, with the on-arrival PCR requirement and mask mandate being revoked. As part of these initiatives and timely policies put in place by His Excellency President Ibrahim Mohammed Salih, and the effort put in by industry stakeholders with the constant support and guidance from UNWTO, we have been granted safe travel stamp by the World Travel and Tourism Council in 2020. As well as the leading destination award at the World Travel Award consecutively in 2020 and 2021. Part of our path to recovery also includes constantly working on enhancing the existing tourism product of Maldives. As such, the Maldives has introduced tourism diversification and community-based tourism development project, with the intention of providing better technical input in realization of tourism diversification and localization policies of the government, which also involves increasing the engagement of women and youth within the industry. By aiming to provide extensive training and educational programs, as well as introducing new tourism concepts, such as homestay tourism, where women and youth can be actively involved. However, uncertainties and challenges are still on the path to recovery. As China, who was the top market to the Maldives prior to the pandemic, still have travel restrictions in place. Another issue that we are currently working on is to provide the necessary support for guest house on inhabited islands, as tourist guest houses have felt the impact of COVID-19 more intensively due to the longer duration of closure and smaller operations. Recovery has been more challenging compared to that of subsector such as resorts. Though the Maldives may be far ahead of the path to recovery, I believe that we still have a lot of important issues to be addressed in this regard to develop our tourism industry into one that is more sustainable and resilient. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much. I think that we will be compiling, but I think that the key recipe for success has been like the tough leadership of the top level of the government, the industry, the combination with the industry, and of course the support we provide. But I think that the agile supply demand and the availability of flights have enabled Maldives to really rebound quickly. Thank you very much. I will call now the representative from Bhutan to take the floor.
Honorable Chair, Co-Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Kuzu Sangpola and a very good morning to everyone. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to share our story. On the outset, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Maldives tourism industry on the joyous occasion of the 50th anniversary and pray for many more successful years ahead. After a difficult and a challenging few years, the tourism industry is steadily continuing its recovery. The COVID-19 pandemic, while having created unprecedented impacts on our livelihoods, has exposed the issues and limitations of the current practices and given us an opportunity to reflect, review, and reset our button towards building a strong, resilient, and future-proof industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Bhutan has been no exception and different from the impacts of pandemic. We have been fortunate to have our king, the government, and the people working towards fighting the pandemic. We have managed to minimize the impacts of the pandemic on health and economy. Various fiscal and monetary supports, including the monthly support from His Majesty's Welfare Scheme, continues to support the impacted citizens. We have also used this period to review and reset our priorities and embark on various interventions in preparation for official reopening of tourism. The government has, we have all the eligible adult population of Bhutan has received the third booster vaccine, including the children above 5 years of old, who have also received at least 2 doses of their vaccinations. The government has initiated various relaxation initiatives, and these developments have created optimism and given us confidence to work towards formal reopening of tourism, although some form of tourism activities are happening at this point in time. In terms of our interventions, we have a new policy, a tourism policy in place, which was approved in January 2021. We have also implemented new operational guidelines for tourism services, particularly focusing on clean and safe certification of the service providers. We have also worked on seamless travel facilitation supported by digitalization. The other focus has been on skilling and reskilling of our tourism personnels who have been displaced during the last few years. We have also focused our measures on product and experiences enhancements, and importantly, working on the contingency plan to be able to work better in terms of any future incidents. And finally, in terms of destination promotion is one of the areas. While we are hopeful and positive of an official tourism restart, we are also aware of the possible issues and challenges that we could face. One of the main issues or the challenges that we would face is the unpredictable nature of the pandemic. Along with this, we also foresee challenges relating to the rapidly changing behaviors and preferences of the tourists, travelers, supported by the rapidly changing technologies. Going forward, tourism development in Bhutan will continue to be guided by the policy of high value, low volume, which epitomizes the visions and aspirations of our national development philosophy of gross national happiness. Last but not the least, I would like to extend my gratitude to the government of Maldives for hosting us. Thank you, and Tashidalek.
Thank you, Bhutan. I think, again, leadership and governance have been really at the forefront of the next phase of recovery. And I think that your product offer is very much in line with the new tourism trends and demand, and I think you should really build up onto that. Let me now invite the representative from Cambodia to address and share the point.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, His Excellency Mr. Jarab, Secretary General, His Excellency Abdullah Mashu, Minister of Tourism, Maldives, Excellency Head of Delegates, and Mr. Hariwang, Director for the Asia Pacific, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset on behalf of Excellency Dr. Thongkhon, Minister of Tourism, I wish to extend my sincere appreciation and thanks to the UNWTO and also to the host, the Government of Maldives, for their warm hospitality and organization for the UNWTO region event on the beautiful archipelago, and take this opportunity to update you on the tourism recovery pattern and the restart of tourism Cambodia. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, under wise and brilliant leadership of Samdech Akep Mahasena Padeda Chon San, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia, the Royal Government of Cambodia has adopted protective framework of policy and regulation law on COVID-19 vaccination. During the COVID-19 crisis, the Royal Government of Cambodia has further subsidized financial aid package to the affected tourism workers and tourism service providers for a sum of $40 per month. And proprietor may add other $30 to the garment factory workers, extra on top for that the owner of the factory will add on. Above all, his great advice and brilliant leadership of some like Joe, the Prime Minister, quite a number of tourism infrastructure and facility, national road access has been developed countrywide. Particularly the major tourist destination, namely Phnom Penh, Kandal Province, Presi Hanuk, Siem Reap. For instance, 2 mega international airports are being constructed in nearby the Phnom Penh and Siem Reap at the mega international airport. In Presi Hanuk Province, highway development project, airport rehabilitation project to accommodate landings of large airplanes, as well as the urban street has been improved and developed. In particular, urban street and road access in Siem Reap has been enhanced. Additionally, rail transport service between Phnom Penh and Presi Hanuk and Phnom Penh Battambang are put in operation to provide simplification and conveniences to domestic and international travelers, tourists economically. In order to respond to the recovery pattern of tourism and demand, because of the supply structure change, there will be drastically emerged travel and consumer trends in the region and the globe post-COVID-19, and under wide leadership of Excellency Dr. Thongkhon, has developed and launched roadmap recovery for Cambodia tourism during and post-COVID-19, Siem Reap Tourism Development Master Plan 2021-2035, and Mandalkari Master Plan has been developed and approved by the Royal Government of Cambodia. Especially, His Excellency the Minister conceptualized and envisioned that Cambodia should be in a ready, prepared position for its tourism restart that needs human capital development, capital strengthening, skill rebuilding, training to those tourism providers, aim to ensure the quality green services and quality green product, and environmentally sustainable and socially responsible destination, Cambodia Kingdom of Wonder. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Cambodia tourism restart opened its border as before the COVID-19, is prepared and ready to welcome all international tourists from around the globe. For your information, we have organized global and regional event earlier this year, conducted a very successful ASEAN Tourism Forum in Presuknukville, Rising Star of the Southwest, where the ASEAN tourism leader unanimously announced the gradually opening of the ASEAN regional tourism. Since then, ASEAN country member has been reopening their border more widely and welcome to all international tourists. Before concluding my remark, I would like to inform you that Cambodia will be hosting and organizing the 32nd Southeast Asian Sea Games, which will take place in the month of May 2023 in Phnom Penh. Moreover, it will be the first time for Cambodia to host the 11 Nation Regional Sport Extravaganza since the first time held in 1959. Furthermore, Cambodia will also host the 12th ASEAN Para Game in June 2023 after the SEA Games, and especially the 5th Asian Youth Games in 2029. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Cambodia. Again, I think that the first Prime Minister leadership and the support provided to the sector is quite exemplary. And I think that your policy on positioning Cambodia on the global economic agenda is really the right way forward. Not to mention a huge World Bank project that is going to completely strengthen and revamp the sector there. May I invite now the Vice Minister of Japan to address? you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosovic. Good morning, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you very much thank you, Mr. Zlob Polorkasevili, Secretary General, and Dr. Abdullah Mohsoon, and Your Excellency Dadosli Hasha Shukri for giving me an opportunity to address on the Japan's tourism recovery and how we are moving forward. As we explained at the last CAP-CSA joint meeting, one of the most restrictive border control measures in the world had been taken in Japan since March 2020. Due to the pandemic, the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games were postponed for a year and took place last summer without spectators. In particular, since after the Omicron variant emerged last November, our government had restricted the entry of foreigners, lowered the daily entry limit to 3,500 people, including Japanese, and introduced a 14-day quarantine period on arrival in Japan until March 2022. The number of newly infected patients averaged more than 100,000 per day in the first half of this February, the highest number ever recorded in Japan, but the number began to gradually decrease in the second half of February, and in recent weeks, the number is down to below 20,000 a day on average. More than 80% of all Japanese have received 2 or more doses of vaccine, and about 60% have received 3 or more doses. Japan's border measures are being relaxed in stages, balancing prevention of the spread of infection and socio-economic activities. Since this March, the government has allowed foreigners to enter the country for non-tourist purposes and raised the daily entry limit to 5,000 and 10,000. From June 1st, the daily entry limit was raised to 20,000, and entry inspection have been exempted for those entering from 98 countries with low spread of infection. As about 140,000 people entered the country each day before the pandemic, the number is still less than 15% of the number before pandemic. One of the challenges in resuming international tourism in Japan is to gain the destination's acceptance of travelers and to create travelers' confidence in safety in Japan. That is why the government has begun to accept foreign tourists on escorted package tourists only from June 10th. Tourists are asked to follow the specific rules, such as wearing a mask inside buildings and getting private health insurance. As the UNWTO suggests, we would like to treat the pandemic as a reset moment, taking this opportunity to upgrade destinations. We have been working to refine tourism resources, improve infrastructures, accelerate digitalization, and respond to the changes in travelers' preferences. We have just started opening the border. Our pace might look slow, but we are steadily going forward. So we will surely accelerate our pace to bring tourism back to normal and advance to a new era of tourism. And I look forward to welcoming you to New Japan in the near future. Finally, as we have heard from Mr. Hompo, our chief of the UNWTO Regional Support Office for Asia and Pacific, the office has conducted various surveys and studies on sustainable tourism development and tourism risk management. We have heard that the office will be using its knowledge to develop activities for countries in Asia-Pacific region, and Japan and Japanese government will commit to supporting its activities. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Mr. Vice President, Vice Minister, sorry. I think that you pointed something very important. First, as a G20 economy, Japan has been showing incredible growth before the pandemic. I mean, a really great acceleration. I think the direction is there. what you mentioned, the confidence for the travelers, but not only for the travelers, for the host and for the workers. And I think that is really an important point. We greet the opening since now only 2 days on new countries, so we are happy to all come and visit, and we look forward to the next step with a great support. Thank you. Now to call ministers and excellencies and representatives that are online with us. Is it possible that the representative from Myanmar is connected? Can we please hear your address?
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon from Myanmar. On behalf of the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, it is my great pleasure to extend my warmest greetings to all delegates who are attending this special event. And I appreciate His Excellency Mr. Zurab Polo Lake Kashvali, Secretary General of the UNWTO, and his team for organizing this timely meeting. And to add my congratulations to His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Mosoon, the Minister of Tourism of the Republic of Maldives, for hosting this event. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, regarding the recovery and restart of the tourism industry in Myanmar, we understand that tourism is a driving tool for economic development. The MOHT has always aimed for responsible and sustainable tourism development and focus on our tourism promotion to the changing market trends. Since 2011, tourism and related services in Myanmar have been successful, and by 2019, we have welcomed 4.36 million international visitors arrival. However, the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic has severely affected our tourism development. Our stats show that in 2021, the IVA was 0.13 million, with an 86% decrease comparing to the previous year. Since that time, we have been able to implement several of our existing policy documents and action points, including reviewing Myanmar Tourism Master Plan 2013 to 2020 and adapting Myanmar Tourism Strategic Recovery Roadmap from 21 to 2025, which has covered 18 strategies with 93 specific actions. Understanding that hygiene and safety remain top of mind for all travelers around the world, the MOHT has launched the Enchanting Myanmar Health and Safety Protocols in 2021 and issued COVID-19 safe certificates to the hotels and tourism businesses to build the trust for both local and international tourists. Myanmar is now open to international tourism since 17 April, facilitating the business travelers, followed by issuing electronic visa to tourists since May 20. Our current initiatives to meet the demands of the changing market trends include rethinking tourism to the existing products and services and bring innovative and digital transformation, and the establishment of the Tourism Research Center to the forefront. Recently, we have initiated Myanmar Barrier-Free Tourism Project 2022 to 2025, in line with the strategic directions of Myanmar Responsible Tourism Policy and leaving no one behind in our tourism development strategy. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to add that Myanmar is entering a phase-by-phase tourism recovery based on our existing strengths for culture and community-based tourism, as well as our diversified tourism landscape for ecotourism, adventure tourism, and wellness tourism. As we have good friends in tourism from far and near, we will continue to be resilient for rapid and strong growth. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate my sincere thanks to the UNWTO and the member states for working hand in hand to enable tourism as a promising sector for the global economy. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. I think that you have been working hard on the most competitive factors and digitalization, reinventing the offer, as well as focusing very much on community-based product offer and online visa, which are really unlocking the capacity. Let us now welcome the representative from Macau, China.
Honorable Chairperson, Co-Chairperson, World Tourism Organization, Secretary General, and officials, Excellencies, fellow members, dear friends, greetings from Macau. Our city's tourism industry is hopefully on the way slowly but steadily to recovery, albeit visitor arrivals continue to fluctuate due to the unfolding of the pandemic. Last year, Macau welcomed 7.7 million visitors, marking a significant 30.7% improvement from previous year, although still far from the 39.4 million arrivals in 2019, or let's say we're 5 times less than pre-pandemic levels. Between January and April this year, visitor arrivals vacillated again due to the pandemic, recording about 2.4 million visitors, which represented a year-on-year decrease of 2%. The main visitor source market for Macau has been mainland China, currently representing over 90% of our visitors. And this is the market where, at this stage, the short-term prospects for tourism recovery of our city relies. Mainland China is currently the only visitor source market that is normally not required quarantine in a designated hotel to come to Macau and vice versa. Visitor flows between the two places restarted in a phased manner quite early on in mid-August of 2020. And it was possible due to a close cooperation and joint mechanism that allowed relaxation of restrictions to safely reopen cross-border tourism. The reopening of cross-border traveling is based on a string of common practices and guidelines set forward by health authorities, including mandatory PCR tests, QR health codes, as well as the alignment of prevention and control measures. In order to boost visitation from mainland China, first and foremost, we have been raising the city's profile as a safe and quality destination with physical large-scale roadshows, along with a strong focus of online promotions, including the dissemination of discount offers in partnership with e-commerce companies and platforms in mainland China. As for the reopening to other markets, our challenges in efforts to restart regional and international tourism are mainly related to how to ensure the safety of the city. Our priority remains to prevent imported COVID-19 cases to avoid at all costs the resurgence of cases in the community. However, as vaccination rates in our city continues to increase, with around 85% already inoculated with 2 or more doses, and as the pandemic recedes globally, our health authorities have been carefully starting to cancel some of the travel restrictions. And we're hoping that the day will come soon that we can welcome regional and international visitors again. In the meantime, we will continue to adequately equip our local stakeholders through capacity building programs and concerted promotional efforts, because we feel that tourists will not be the same like before. They will be more demanding, and we need to cater to them. Thank you, and I look forward to discussing with our partners from across the region on solutions to allow us to safely restart tourism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. You have been extremely creative, because such a dependency on the main source market requires really a lot of creativity. And I think that the repositioning and the efforts made have really provided opportunities to look further on rediversifying the market and maybe even doing better after we all resume. Let me now invite Hong Kong, China to share with us their policy changes.
Thank you, moderator. So dear chairperson, co-chairpersons, Your Excellency Ministers, Secretary General, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So it's my pleasure to join the meeting online. Thank you for the opportunity for me to give you an update on tourism recovery and restarting tourism in Hong Kong, China. So the tourism industry is the hardest hit sector under the COVID-19 pandemic, as the previous honorable speakers has mentioned. So the government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China has since been continuously supporting the tourism industry to help the trade tide over the protracted difficult situation. In parallel, we have been investing in the industry to prepare the trade for welcoming visitors back from all over the world. So on our support for the trade, we have provided a total funding commitment of over $580 million US, of which about 73% is direct financial support for travel agents, practitioners, hotels, and cruises. And the remaining 27% is used to help boost the trade's business under various schemes and enhance training of the tourism practitioners, while making preparation for the resumption of cross-boundary and cross-border travel. Besides, we have been making every effort to create room for business for the tourism industry by striking a balance between pandemic containment and resuming economic activities. With the gradual stabilization of the pandemic since April, local tourism activities on multiple fronts have progressively restarted, such as resumption of local group tours, reopening of our theme parks, lifting the suspension of cruise to nowhere itineraries. Meanwhile, the Hong Kong Tourism Board, HKTB in short, which is tasked to market and promote Hong Kong as a travel destination worldwide, has been leveraging its Holiday at Home campaign platform to maintain local tourism vibes and boost domestic consumption. Partnering with the trade, HKTB has rolled out rounds of spend to redeem programs, offering discounts for local group tours and hotel staycation packages, and encouraging them to rediscover our city while there are still quarantine requirements imposed on post-overseas travel. Other than boosting local ambience, the government and HKTB will continue to support and stage mega events and maintain Hong Kong's exposure in source markets through various publicity campaigns. When individual markets are ready to resume travel to Hong Kong, HKTB will roll out targeted promotions and various offers to attract visitors to come to Hong Kong. As regards our investment in tourism resources, we introduced the Green Lifestyle Local Tour Incentive Scheme in late 2019 with a total funding commitment of over $52 million US so far to encourage the trade to organize local tours with green elements. The scheme has been well received by the trade and the community, not only creating business and job opportunities for the tourism trade and practitioners, but also encouraging the trade to develop new tourism products. On top of that, we have recently earmarked $77 million US for launching a new cultural and heritage site local tour incentive scheme to encourage the travel trade to develop more tour products by leveraging the opportunities arising from Hong Kong's rich culture and heritage resources. Our efforts to enhance our tourism offerings haven't stopped despite the pandemic. For example, the West Kowloon Cultural District, WKCD in short, is a new arts and cultural hub at the harbour front of Hong Kong, offering world-class exhibitions, performances, and arts and cultural events. M+, a museum of contemporary visual culture in WKCD, opened in November last year and is now a must-see in the city. The soon-to-open Hong Kong Palace Museum, being the first museum outside our capital, Beijing, and with permanent exhibits from the Palace Museum in Beijing, will further present to our guests with an unprecedented, unique blend of heritage and cultural experience. Besides, our world-class Hong Kong Wetland Park is currently undergoing a facelift. A second phase of the Yim Tin Jai Arts Festival will be relaunched later this year, featuring arts, cultural, heritage, and green elements on a scenic island of Hong Kong. And we are rolling out upgrading programs for over 20 hiking trails. Hong Kong Disneyland has been rolling out a series of new attractions under its multi-year expansion plan, including most recently, the transformed Castle of Magical Dreams and related stage performances, and a new Frozen-themed area is being constructed. All in all, the government of Hong Kong, China is taking every opportunity to increase the breadth and depth of our tourism offerings. Throughout the process, we have been actively engaging and working closely with industry stakeholders. We will continue to support our trade to seize the opportunities, get prepared for the future market, and relaunch tourism as the pandemic recedes. So that's the end of my update. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. Very rich and very strong strategies and policies. I think that while supporting trade and focusing on domestic tourism, you have succeeded in maintaining and keeping abreast the companies. But I think that the very interesting aspect on community and inclusiveness to better benefit local population and community is as well very good. We all know that the trend today is the tourism expenditures have rose during the crisis from $1,000 to $1,400, and that is a trend that we hope all to keep. Let me now give the floor to Philippines, the representative of Philippines online as well.
Thank you very much, dear moderator. His Excellency Zurab Pololikashvili, Secretary General of the UN World Tourism Organization, His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Mausum, Minister of Tourism, Maldives, fellow member states and affiliate members, magandang hapon, good afternoon from the Philippines. We congratulate the Maldives for hosting this 34th UNWTO Joint Commission meeting and for celebrating your Jubilee Tourism Year. From the Philippines, we are pleased to report that as the level of COVID-19 infections in the country has gone down and vaccination and boosting of our nationals and tourism workers have been given priority, the Philippines has reopened its borders. Since February 10, the Philippine government allowed the quarantine-free entry of all fully vaccinated foreign nationals. I think we were one of the earliest to open up in the region. And since May 30, we have further relaxed entry protocols. Foreign travelers aged 18 and above who have received their COVID-19 booster shots and children aged 12 to 17 who are fully vaccinated may enter the country without pre-departure testing and upon arrival testing. Similarly, the pre-departure COVID-19 test is waived for children below 12 who are traveling with their boosted parents. Fully vaccinated adults may enter the Philippines upon the presentation of a pre-departure COVID-19 RT-PCR or laboratory-based antigen test. And with the easing of the travel protocols across the globe, the requirement for travel insurance for foreign travelers was also lifted last May 30. We are happy to report that as of June 11, our pre-pandemic key and strategic markets are leading our tourism arrivals into the country, and a number of opportunity markets are also gaining traction. Domestic tourism is alive and well in the Philippines, and we're also getting a considerable number of VFRs, or what we call balikbayans, coming back to the Philippines to visit their friends and relatives here. So we are optimistic that we are indeed on the road to recovery like many of the other member states. As part of our efforts to further champion the resumption of safe and sustainable tourism, the Philippines hosted the 21st World Travel and Tourism Council Global Summit last April 2022, aptly centering around the theme Rediscovering Travel. And we were very happy to welcome more than 1,000 participants representing around 50 countries around the globe. And many thanks for the support and the attendance of the UNWTO, our member states and affiliate members. Our hosting of this event successfully showed that it is possible to strike a balance between the enforcement of minimum health and safety protocols and the convenient travel of our delegates, ushering in the new era of MICE events in the new normal. The 21st WTTC Global Summit also highlighted the need for sustainable and inclusive tourism to pave the way for responsible travel and promotion of the protection of the environment. So the Philippines also launched a campaign to promote inclusivity and accessibility in the tourism sector called It's More Fun for All. So the campaign highlights programs like Tourism Works about supporting women's rights and children's safety, barrier-free tourism, and the Filipino brand of service excellence. In line with the UNWTO's call for tourism ministers to put people first, this campaign is aimed to bolster balanced and inclusive recovery initiatives and other forms of support to the most vulnerable segments of the industry. The Philippines just completed its presidential elections last month, and we are in the midst of welcoming a new government administration on board. The Philippine Department of Tourism reiterates our commitment to continue cooperating and coordinating with our local and international government bodies to sustain the momentum of tourism recovery within the country and the region. We welcome any suggestions for collaboration from the member states and members of the Commission and from the UNWTO, as we did with the program workshop on measuring sustainability of tourism that we hosted earlier this year. Thank you for the opportunity to share our progress. And from the Philippines, we say mabuhay to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for the open mind and the invitation for collaboration. I think this is definitely the key word for building a resilient and beautiful future. Let me now give the floor to the representative of China.
Thank you. Dear chairpersons, Your Excellencies, Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Beijing. First, I would like to express sincere gratitude to UNWTO and Maldives for hosting the 34th CAP-CSA joint meeting. Currently, tourism is still one of the industries under severe impact of the pandemic. Hereby, I am glad to share relevant approaches of the Chinese side in seeking tourism recovery. According to the sample survey of domestic tourism in the first quarter of 2022, total number of tourist visits has reached 830 million, with tourism revenue and consumption of 0.77 trillion RMB, which is a 4% increase over the same period last year. Here are some specific measures. First is to bail tourism enterprises and their employees out of slump. In February 2022, NDRC and MOCT led the release of several policies on expediting the recovery and development of troubled sectors in the services sphere. Our ministry, along with tourism administrative departments at all levels, has implemented tax exemption, expense concession, and exclusive finance policies in the tourism sector, while continuously monitors impacts of the pandemic and situations of tourism recovery. In order to boost confidence and inspire vitality, the 12th China Tourism Day was successfully celebrated last month. Second, to deepen exploration of tourism resources and further promote quality development of tourism. For instance, before the opening of Beijing Winter Olympics, our ministry launched 10 routines to guide local governments, tourism enterprises, and the public to participate in the ice and snow tourism. In addition, various customized tourism campaigns and products have also been developed, such as national tourism leisure cities and neighborhoods, destinations of health and wellness tourism, rural tourism, and educational tourism. Third, to accelerate promotions of smart tourism and to deepen Internet plus tourism mode. China encourages tourism marketing campaigns, online reservations, and transaction payments, and optimizes experience of virtual tourism destinations and products. By promoting China Tourism Overseas Experience Center, we aim to offer opportunities to experience Chinese lifestyles in digital ways. Fourth, to continuously carry out international tourism exchanges and cooperation. China has always been actively engaged in international tourism exchanges under the framework of UNWTO, including the recent Best Tourism Villages initiatives. Besides, China consecutively holds international tourism fairs such as CITM and ITB China. Furthermore, China works extensively with countries and regions along the Belt and Road Initiative and actively participate in ministerial meetings in field of tourism within BRICS, APEC, G20, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, China is willing to join hands with UNWTO and fellow member states to further consolidate and deepen tourism cooperation, to exchange rewarding experiences and good practices so as to make contributions to the global recovery of tourism. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for sharing inspiring initiatives that China has undertaken. And I think a healthy tourism in China is as well healthy tourism globally, because you are one of the key source markets for the world. Let me now pass the floor, and I think I have been alerted that time is of essence, that we are inviting the representative from the Republic of Korea, and then we'll be speaking Malaysia, Vietnam, Fiji, India, Laos, and Pakistan. So thank you for keeping up the time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of the Republic of Korea, I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the government of Maldives and the Secretary General for hosting this event. Today, I'm pleased to share Korea's tourism policy with fellow member countries at this event. This year, the inbound tourism market for Korea is showing growth compared to last year. From January to May, the number of tourists visiting Korea stood at 580,000, which is a 70% increase from last year's level. Acknowledging this, it is anticipated that Korea's tourism market will gradually recover so long as international travel volume continues to improve in second half of this year. The Korean Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism has continued international tourism exchange despite the setback endured from the pandemic. Furthermore, the ministry worked to maintain active people-to-people exchange between other countries in 2021 through initiatives like travel safety zones. Since November last year, the Korean government has been implementing measures to ease restrictions and recently exempted all overseas travelers from mandatory quarantine. Moreover, Korea has resumed the issuance of tourist visas while continuing to push for the resumption of visa-free entry. In addition, from July, international air routes are expected to increase following heightened demand. These changes are expected to greatly assist in welcoming back international visitors. Korea is promoting various tourism policies so that inbound tourists traveling post-pandemic can feel assured of their safety while enjoying a satisfactory visit. We aim to provide attractive travel programs that promote longer stays, eco-friendly sustainability, and wellness, and the Korean culture. In addition, support for the inbound travel industry is essential. These businesses have been pushed to a state of de facto business suspension for the past 2 years. Education and experience opportunities for new tourist demands are provided to tourism industry to strengthen their capability. The ministry is committed to reconnecting the business network that has been largely cut off for some time. With a view towards a full recovery for the tourism sector, it is important to note that the resumption of international tourism cannot be achieved solely by respective tourism ministries and must be made in consultation with various related ministries such as aviation, diplomacy, and quarantine agencies. Therefore, continuous consultation and cooperation amongst various ministries is necessary. It is also an essential part of the tourism department to listen to the needs of the tourism industry and deliver them so that they can be reflected in intergovernmental decision-making process. Nations worldwide need to create conditions to facilitate the free movement of tourists, strengthen support for tourism companies and intermediaries, and restore tourist trust by enhancing cooperation. Ultimately, by doing so, a full recovery for the international tourism sector can be achieved. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Madam, for keeping the time. We are really happy that you are reopening in July. And I think that a better governance between public and private sector is certainly the way forward. Let me now pass the floor to Honorable Minister from Malaysia. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Government of Malaysia, I am pleased to reiterate the appreciation and support expressed by members of the Commissions in response to the UNWTO's ongoing initiatives to restart and recover, as well as rethink and transform tourism across all regions. Notwithstanding the multiple shocks disrupting tourism's recovery in the aftermath of the worldwide pandemic and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine crisis, Malaysia wishes to reaffirm its full commitment to a safe and streamlined return of international travel and tourism to safeguard the future of this important sector, which, prior to the pandemic, had contributed 15.2% of the national GDP and 23.5% share from the total employment in Malaysia. As an important precursor to its full reopening of borders on the 1st of April 2022, Malaysia had taken gradual steps to facilitate safe travel for targeted groups such as long and short-term business travelers, as well as vaccinated travelers from neighboring countries such as Singapore, Thailand, and Cambodia via the Vaccinated Travel Lane Arrangement, or VTL. Malaysia had also successfully implemented its Langkawi International Travel Bubble Initiative since November 2021, which allowed quarantine-free entry for more than 5,800 international tourists and generated an income of more than $6.5 million in its 3-month pilot phase. As one of the world's highest vaccinated countries, Malaysia is fortunate to have since been ranked second in the Economist's 2022 Travel Ready Index for Asia, which cited the country's vaccination coverage, ease of traveling, and lifting of quarantine and testing requirements among the region's most effective, with simplified border measures for an accelerated reopening. That said, Malaysia anticipates that the recovery phase will last at least 2 to 3 years. In the interim, Malaysia acknowledges that targeted support is required to ensure the survivability of tourism-related businesses and communities. In 2021, the government disbursed financial aid amounting to 14.6 million US dollars, which benefited 29,286 tourism practitioners. This year, an allocation of 20 million US dollars will help ease the burden of more than 20,000 tourism operators ranging from travel and tour companies, spa and wellness center operators, homestay owners, and tourist guides. Malaysia is also fully committed to implementing the strategic actions of its tourism recovery framework, which comprises 5 pathways to recovery and resilience in the medium to long term. The first pathway is support tourism businesses with recovery measures. Second, restore travelers' confidence and seamless intra-regional and international travel. Third, reinvent tourism products and services to drive competitiveness. Fourth, align tourism with sustainability and inclusivity. And lastly, reinforce recovery with long-term resilience and crisis preparedness. Moving forward, Malaysia looks forward to advancing cooperation at the regional and international level by working closely with the UNWTO and strongly recommends continued engagement and sharing of insights among members, particularly in the areas of digitalization, technology adoption, and sustainable tourism investments for the industry to emerge stronger and more resilient for to face future disruptions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for sharing innovative thinking and tough path forward with the 5 key drives, which are not different than what we recommend. So let me now pass the floor to the representative of Indonesia.
Thank you. Chair, Co-Chair, Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished guests. First and foremost, allow me to extend my highest appreciation to the government of the Republic of Maldives, particularly the Ministry of Tourism and the UNWTO for their outstanding event organization and hospitality in this beautiful Maldives Islands. In this opportunity, I would also like to congratulate the Republic of Maldives on achieving Tourism Golden Jubilee Year. Excellencies, indeed, it is such a timely occasion to share and learn from each other best efforts to jumpstart the tourism sector in our respective countries and region after a 2-year-long standstill and dramatic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemics. For Indonesia, the focus of our recovery effort is to save around 2 million lost jobs and bring back the tourism multiplier and socio-economic impacts, especially in reducing inequality by distributing wealth, investment, infrastructure, technology, and capacity building. Furthermore, the tourism sector in Indonesia plays a focal role in supporting the SDGs through ecotourism, strengthening cultural identities, enhancing inclusivity, and empowering local communities. During these 2 unprecedented years, the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia focused on 2 things. 1, supporting the pandemic management, and 2, preparing a more sustainable, resilient, and better quality tourism for all. Our pandemic management strategies include facilitating economic incentives and digitizing tourism and creative economy SMEs, providing a safety net and reskilled tourism workers, accelerating nationwide vaccination, and supporting the progress in travel regulation based on the dynamic pandemic situation. Meanwhile, we see the prospect of sustainable tourism practices in light of the pandemic. Thus, in 2020, the ministry established a national certification covering 4 aspects: cleanliness, health, safety, and environmental sustainability, with 12,000 and counting certified tourism businesses until today. In addition, we are promoting the development of the blue and green economy in the tourism sector by implementing ecotourism, green transportation for tourism, SOP and waste management program in tourism destinations, and a carbon footprint offsetting platform for travelers, among others. Excellencies, today Indonesia's tourism is going in the right direction with significant domestic market demand to travel and the ease of policies for international arrivals. Today, we are no longer required to use a mask outdoor, and travel is almost as easy before the pandemic, with visas on arrival available for 72 countries, and all vaccinated travelers are free from quarantine, pre-departure, and entry tests. Along with the ease and stability in travel policies, we see 350% growth in international arrivals from January to April this year compared to last year. However, we still need to address the issue of connectivity availability and pricing. Despite the new challenge, Indonesia is committed to the tourism recovery by organizing international events, including a series of side events to support Indonesia's G20 presidency, in which we are working closely with the UNWTO for the tourism agenda. We believe the UNWTO's role significantly enhances positive global cooperation in the tourism sector, and Indonesia assures its commitment to supporting the UNWTO Focus Program on rebuilding the tourism sector post-pandemic to be better, more resilient, and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I think that the innovative governance of Indonesia for the sector is really supporting all the sector globally as well. And the presidency of the G20, the work that is going to be shared there is going to be very inspiring and very useful for everyone. Thank you very much. I will now call on to Vietnam, please, representative of Vietnam.
Excellency Secretary General Zurab Polori-Kasvili, Excellency Abdullah Mosum, Minister of Tourism of Maldives, Mr. Chairman and Madam Co-Chair, Head of Delegations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Vietnam National Administration of Tourism, I would like to sincerely thank for the host country, Maldives, and UNWTO Secretariat for the warm welcome and excellent arrangement for the 34th UNWTO Commission for East Asia and the Pacific, and the Commission for the South Asia joint meeting. Like all other countries in the region, Vietnam tourism has suffered from the negative impacts of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and 2021. However, with flexible policies to effectively adapt to each period of pandemic, Vietnam has successfully controlled it, and now I'm proudly informing the meeting that Vietnam tourism is on bright track to revitalize. Last November, Vietnam piloted an international tourism reopening scheme, in which only applied to 5 destinations. 4 months later, on the 15th of March this year, we have fully reopened to all destinations. At present, international tourists going to Vietnam is neither requested to take any COVID test nor show proof of vaccination. All travel barriers are now lifted for the best experience and seamless travel for all tourists. The number of international tourists to Vietnam for the 15th of March to the end of May has reached more than 300,000, a massive pace compared to the last 2 years. The number of domestic tourists in the first 5 months of 2022 went up to 50 million, which has increased 26% compared to the same period of 2019 pre-pandemic. Total tourism received in the first 5 months reached nearly $5 billion. We expected that this growing trend will firmly continue in the future. Besides the adaptive strategy for the foster tourism reopening and supporting measures for tourism enterprises and employees, there are some other reasons answering for our market recovery. First is the vaccination rate. Vietnam is among the highest vaccinated countries in the world. By March 2022, more than 94% of citizens from age of 12 has at least 2 doses of vaccination. Second is a flexible, adaptive, and safety measure towards tourism reopening. Different government bodies, including tourism, health, foreign affairs, and so on, have closely cooperated to pilot the reopening scheme and then totally reopen the border with a suitable and updated safety requirement for its barriers. Thus is the proactive manners of both central and local tourism authority in tourism promotion and marketing. By supporting the national campaign Live Fully in Vietnam, many destinations have organized significant tourism promotion events, while travel agents continuously design and publish new and interesting tourism products to attract more tourists. Particularly last month, Vietnam successfully hosted for the 31st Southeast Asian Games, the region's biggest sporting event. Despite the prospect of tourism rebound being positive, we are still aware of some potential difficulties in the short term, as different levels of travel restriction are being applied in the region and also in the world. We forecast that the flow of international tourists may not be busy until the end of this year, which is also our high season. More importantly, the tourism labor that has been lost during the pandemic will not be recovered in the short periods, and we need to focus more on recruiting and training the tourism human resource. Bearing this in mind, Vietnam tourism hopes to receive the continuous support from UNWTO and the close cooperation from other member states to foster the regional recovery and to work for more resilient and sustainable tourism sector. Once again, on behalf of Vietnam National Administration of Tourism, I wish all of you good health and happiness. Wish our event in Maldives great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Vietnam. And I think the choice of putting people first at all these senses is certainly a great way forward. Let me now, on Fiji, please, representative of Fiji.
Thank you, moderator. Secretary General, His Excellency, Zura Polishkvili, Chair, Co-Chair, Excellencies, good morning and Bună Vanaka to all of you. I join my colleagues in congratulating the UNWTO and the Republic of Maldives in hosting the 34th Joint Commission meeting. I can't think of any better way than to be in the sunny side of life to meet again after 2 years. As we came, just to recall again, to get back our freedom, to pack our bags, to board a plane, and to travel again is a privilege I think we all won't take for granted again. So thank you again to Maldives. So on behalf of the Republic of Fiji, the Minister for Tourism, Honorable Fayaz Koya, who sorely missed being here Secretary General, I'd like to contribute today from a Pacific island and a small island developing state perspective to today's agenda. Excellencies, it's nice to see countries opening up at very different levels. I think some have opened while some have just given their dates for reopening, and that of course works in the benefit of countries like Fiji who rely on, who are very geographically isolated and rely on bigger markets for visitors. So thanks for your update. Colleagues, Excellencies, when we recorded our first case in this March 2020, we immediately shut our borders, as had many other countries. At the time, that was without any known cures, without access to vaccines. That was our best defense. So we did what we had to at that time. To aid our people, we paid out hundreds and millions of dollars in support, in social support to Fijians. And again, keeping in mind Fiji is a small island developing state, our pockets weren't that deep. But we had to for our people. We provided tax reforms that aided in our competitiveness from a tourism perspective. We provided incentives to fuel investment. We established policies that brought us a full year without local cases in the year 2020. We established robust frameworks that welcomed luxury visitors, yachts, film crew, students into the country despite border closure. So very similar to the case shared by my colleague from Japan, as in the case for guided tours. And that brought us a lot of relief at the time. So Excellencies, colleagues, at the 33rd Joint Commission meeting, we shared our strategy to opening borders. At the heart of it was to get at least 80% of the Fijian population vaccinated by October. At that point, we only had a little above a half of our population vaccinated. And we achieved our target. By December 2021, we became one of the first few Pacific Island countries to reopen, with over 95% of our population now fully vaccinated. Where we are now, by May this year, we had the freedom to scale back on a number of our restrictions. Vaccinated travelers now no longer need to produce a negative test before entering the country. But as the Secretary General has mentioned, we are still very cautious of health-related restrictions. So for now, we still have an in-country test to be taken. We also widened our vaccine eligibility from an initial 18 years to now 16 years, as more children around the world have access to vaccines. So since our borders have reopened, colleagues, we welcomed over 100,000 visitors to Fiji. That seems like a small number, hearing everyone in their millions and thousands, but for us that was a huge feat. And it was very, very wonderful to have such strong numbers. And if you look at April, our visitors were at 60% of 2019 levels. So that was remarkable for us. Excellencies, colleagues, if you look at the value of the industry, which is a more stronger indicator, in the first quarter of this year, we had a 4-digit increase in our numbers. So again, which is very remarkable. So for us, what that means is essentially the restoring of the jobs, the thousands of jobs that we had lost, and the restoring of livelihoods that depended on it. Excellencies and colleagues, but we aren't here only to talk about our successes. As I've heard from others, we're also here to speak about what worked for us and what didn't work for us, so we can learn from each other. So very quickly from Fiji's side, number one was vaccination. That worked very well in our favor. We very quickly adapted a no jab, no job policy that allowed quick vaccination of the tourism industry and all other sectors. Robust frameworks, we developed robust frameworks. We established committees that had both not only medical input, but economic input as well, so that we could find the right balance in welcoming visitors back. The Care Fiji commitment, like many of you have shared your respective countries' programs that are aligned to global health best practices. Fiji adopted the Care Fiji commitment. Through the Care Fiji commitment, it was like our tourism workers were almost acting as doctors as well. They had to quickly learn to do swabbing. They had to identify and work on protocols such as isolating visitors. And we did this out of partnership because we didn't want to overwhelm our health systems. So it also brought in a lot of ownership by the tourism industry to take care of their visitors beyond hospitality, but the care that we owed them at this time. Finally, colleagues, sustainable partnership. There was nothing we could have achieved without partnership. So between governments, between the private sector, as well as with development partners. And I say sustainable partnership because the partnerships that we have formed during pandemic should be bringing us to where we are today. So not only over the 2 years, but for the years to come. Excellencies and colleagues, looking ahead, even as our tourism numbers make a comeback, we know it will take a few years, as I've heard from my colleagues, to go back to pre-pandemic levels. For us at home, we don't just want to return to the Fiji of 2 years ago. We want to do more, and we must do more. So as my colleagues and I crossed over from the airport to the beautiful crossroads, I realized just how similar the Maldives and Fiji are. Though we are oceans apart, we are very similar. We have scattered islands that rely on maritime connectivity, which means a lot of fuel. We have islands that are vulnerable to sea level rising. And we can see that in many small island developing states that you go to. So I also recently traveled to Dubai, one of the world's most advanced economies. but you see the similar challenge there, except in some countries like ours, we're inundated with rain, and in countries like Dubai, you have no rain. But you can see that the impacts of climate change remain across the world. Excellencies, colleagues, in 2016, Fiji was fallen victim to one of the worst cyclones in the southern hemisphere, Tropical Cyclone Winston. And since then, I mean, that took out over a third of our GDP in a matter of 36 hours. And since then, we have had 14 cyclones and 3 during the pandemic. So that has been very difficult for us to deal with, a lot of reprioritizing of resources. And 13, 14, 15 is far too many over a span of a couple of years. So like many other Pacific Island countries, like many other small island developing states, the revenue we generate comes a lot from our natural assets. Tourism alone for us was 40% of our GDP pre-pandemic. So the jobs, the revenue that we've lost during COVID was a reminder of how valuable our natural and our physical assets are to our people, as well as our cultural. So it's not only about greening tourism industry, it's also about a tourism that's clean, tourism that's inclusive, and of course a tourism that's transformative for all of us. So Excellencies and colleagues, just to quickly conclude, partnership is extremely key for us in all its forms. It's why we're all here today, to accelerate recovery and then to ensure we are in a state of readiness from future shocks. And we know that the pandemic wasn't the only one we're going to expect in the near future. We require the right resources, we require the right expertise, and we require the right partnerships. So with those few words, colleagues, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to conclude by thanking the Secretary General, the very hardworking UNWTO team. I remember we hosted the 30th CAP-CSA, and I know how hard it was to put everything together, so congratulations. And Vinaka Vakalevu as well to the Republic of Maldives. I look forward to the hospitality of your beautiful home. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiji. I think you took much more than the time and you said it all, so we'll pass to the next speaker. Thank you very much. To India, please.
Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. As we all know, tourism is a key contributor to global economic activity. Tourism is an important sector for job creation, especially for women and youth. It contributes to socio-economic development and plays a role in building bridges between societies and benefits visitors and local communities. It stimulates sustainable and diversified development in rural areas. The tourism sector, again, as we all know, has been greatly impacted due to the pandemic. However, it is one sector which is resilient and has bounced back from various adversities and crises. In the wake of the pandemic, the Government of India took various measures to support tourism and the hospitality industry. We have been able to restore the confidence of our domestic travelers, and many of the destinations have received record footfall, helping the hospitality industry achieve and exceed pre-COVID levels. Recognizing that the revival of the tourism sector in India will largely depend on domestic tourism, the Ministry of Tourism launched a domestic campaign, Dekho Apna Desh, through webinars to generate awareness and sustain interest among stakeholders. India is now open to international travel. At present, around 900 million people in India are fully vaccinated against COVID-19, making us safer and more resilient as a tourist destination. In order to encourage international visitors, India announced free visas to the first 500,000 tourists after the visa regime opened up. Our Ministry of Tourism has partnered with the Quality Council of India through an initiative called SATI, System for Assessment, Awareness and Training for Hospitality Industry. Post-COVID, the Ministry of Tourism will have greater focus on sustainable and responsible tourism and on promoting offbeat destinations which naturally promote nature and ecotourism, wildlife, wellness retreats, mountaineering and trekking, among others. In addition, the Government of India has also developed a national integrated database of the hospitality industry to enable our central and state governments to deliver better support and services, including policies and strategies to meet the challenges that arise from time to time. The Government of India's approach is to focus on post-pandemic growth and development of tourism sector and priority areas like cultural tourism, adventure tourism, MICE, medical and wellness tourism, and rural tourism, for which the following major initiatives have been identified: green tourism, digital tourism, destination management, tourism, hospitality, skill development, and the MSME development. In closing, I would like to spotlight that one of the rare joys for the pandemic for us in the Government of India has been to work very closely with our hosts, the government of Maldives, and set up an institute and coordinate policies that not only revived the flow of tourists from India to the Maldives, but also enhanced them. In fact, today, the number of weekly flights between India and the Maldives is double that of pre-pandemic levels. So we're very proud to have worked together with the Maldives to support its economic revival and its tourism industry's revival. We congratulate you on your 50th year of tourism, and I hope all the delegates here have a productive meeting and a memorable stay. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I think that this demonstration of countries' collaboration for good is definitely the way forward, and this is a model that I think should be really scaled up. Thank you very much. I will call now on Laos representative, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Ministers, head of delegation, ladies and gentlemen. With the permission of the head of delegation, first of all, Laos would like to congratulate Ministry of Tourism of Maldives for hosting this significant event in this beautiful destination, and very warm welcome extended to our delegation since we have arrived in this beautiful country. To recover tourism industry from the pandemic in July 2021, Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism has adopted the tourism recovery roadmap for 2021 to 2025 with technical support by UNDP to Laopedia, and of course with the collaboration from the UNWTO. Once again, thank you very much, UNWTO, for supporting Laos. The most challenges that industry facing are many tourism businesses are facing a growing difficulty repaying loans, and also the shortage of the capital to restart the businesses, and shortage of the skilled labor after 2 years of businesses closure. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, since 1st January to the end of April 2022 this year, Laos has opened the international border for international visitors to visit the Green Travel Zone, which international visitors could visit the Green Travel Zones in 6 provinces that organized by the travel agencies. With lessons learned from the opening of the Green Travel Zones, just on 9 May 2022, the Prime Minister's office has announced fully open the borders and relax all measures. So visa exemption, visa on arrival, and e-visa are in place like before COVID. So for fully vaccinated traveler, need only certificate of vaccination to enter Laopedia. There is no COVID-19 test prior and after entering Laos, no quarantine and no insurance. I thank you very much, ministers, head of the delegation. I look forward to exploring more beautiful country in Maldives, and I look forward to welcoming you all in Laos. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam, for sharing the initiatives. And I think that when we were speaking about SME survival, that is key because it's livelihood at stake, and as well unlocking other barriers to travel, such as visa acceleration. I think this is only good news, which is going to enable you to even increase the numbers after the crisis, maybe of the previous 2019. And now I am asking for Pakistan, which is going to be the last country addressing and sharing. Thank you very much.
Mr. Rana. We cannot hear you from the venue. Hi, Mr. Rana. Can you listen to us? Mr. Rana, we're afraid that we cannot hear you.
Sir, we cannot hear you.
Excuse me. Sorry, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. Can you restart? Thank you.
Mr. Rana, we think that there's some connection issue from your side. That's why we cannot listen to you from the venue. No, we cannot. Probably like you reconnect, and then we'll invite you later after Iran. Can we pass the floor to Iran? Mr. Rana, can you reconnect later, and we will invite Iran to speak first. Thank you.
Thank you very much. His Excellency Mr. Zurab Pololikashvili, Excellency Member State participant, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first express my sincere thanks to the Secretary General of UNWTO and his wonderful team for their swift efforts dealing with evolving situations surrounding the COVID-19 crisis. Also, my best regard goes to Mr. Harry Wang, Director of Regional Department for Asia and Pacific of UNWTO, for his great sense of cooperation and help, as well as the Excellency Minister Abdullah Masoom, the Minister of Tourism of Maldives, for this impeccable management of this event. As you know, coronavirus pandemic has damaged tourism industry seriously at global level. Iran tourism industry is not an exception. While the country tourism growth rate was incredible, the country tourism was brought to a halt. Dealing with this, the decision makers analyzed the situation in order to have a more sustainable and resilient tourism after recovery. The crisis is an opportunity to rethink tourism for the future. Governments need to consider the longer term implications of crisis while digitalizations was in progress and the structural transformation was needed to build a stronger, more sustainable and resilient tourism economy. Although domestic tourism mitigated the impact on the jobs, it also helped sustain many tourism destinations and businesses, and will continue to be a key driver of recovery in the short to medium term. The government tried to evolving response measures to maintain capacity in the sector and address gaps in supports through, number one, encouraging outbound travelers to travel within the country and creating more opportunities to increase the tourism receipts. Number two, considering tax and insurance exemptions for tourism-related facilities and cutting down and utility costs, including natural gas and electricity for all tourism establishments like travel agents and hotels. Number three, introducing a set of regulations in order to evolve sanitary situation in tourism-related jobs and building, including the emergence of new niches and market segments, along with a greater focus on safety protocols in tourism establishments. Restoring confidence in order to integrate the demand rate once again through promoting unsafe destination concept, particularly among the countries of region as the arrangement with neighboring countries. Toward this end, 26 other relevant organizations were also involved. Digitalizing the process of certificate issuing and easing the process of fund allocation in order to mitigate funding tourism establishments, considering inclusion of tourism activists in government list of applicants receiving pensions, devising a comprehensive training system in tourism based on a series of surveys on the current status of tourism in an attempt to have a balanced and advanced training for tourism stakeholders, as well as the public awareness on tourism sensitive issues. And the last, reconsidering the target market list and focusing on regional cooperation to accelerate the recovery process and injection of funds. And as you know, Iran has reopened its borders to international tourists, and we are very welcome all tourists from around the world. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. I will pass the floor to the chair now. I think that this was a very inspiring session that is going to trigger change and support resilience.
Well, thank you very much, moderator. Our next agenda item is about other matters. Whether any member wish to take the floor to raise any issues that have not been discussed under the previous item. We just want to see.
Chair, Indonesia would like to take the floor on this agenda. Excellencies, distinguished guests, as a mandate from the 24th.
Sorry, who's that speaking?
Indonesia.
Oh, Indonesia, sorry.
Thank you.
You have spoken before this? Or you just want to comment?
There is another matter that we would like to.
All right.
Just a quick one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished guests, as a mandate from the 24th UNWTO General Assembly held in Madrid in December 2021, Indonesia will be hosting the World Tourism Day 2022 on rethinking tourism, and it would be our greatest honor to have your presence at the celebration of the World Tourism Day 2022 on the 27th of September in conjunction with the second G20 Tourism Working Group and the G20 Tourism Ministerial Meeting. And therefore, please allow us to present a short pre-invitation video welcoming your excellencies and distinguished guests to the World Tourism Day 2022 in Bali. Thank you.
Thank you, Indonesia. Now I'd like to invite to take the floor. I think now I wish to give the floor to affiliate members as well to share any observations or comments. Oh, this is Bali. You want to show your? Thank you. Now, if there are no other interventions, I would like to call your attention to a signature event which Malaysia will be proudly hosting later this year. And maybe Excellency, you might want to say something, yeah? Any more from you? No. Perhaps Our Excellency Secretary General might want to say something? No? No comment. Well, Excellency Secretary General, honorable members, ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as Malaysia 2022 calendar of events marks a full return to in-person events for the first time in 2 years, I would like to take this opportunity to personally invite and welcome all CFP and CSA member countries to the 6th World Tourism Conference 2022, an event jointly organized by Malaysia and UNWTO. This year's edition will take place in the heart of Malaysian Borneo in the enchanting Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, from the 28th to 30th of November 2022. Themed Tourism Futures Reimagined, the conference will serve as a platform which champions thought leadership on tourism futures and strategies, driving tourism's recovery and resilience in a post-pandemic world. We will now begin to distribute the World Tourism Conference 2022 Save the Date postcards to all delegate presence. I hope you could kindly save the dates in your busy schedules and look forward to seeing everyone in Malaysia later this year. Thank you, and now let us move on to the last agenda item. Our last agenda item is regarding the place and date for the 35th CAP-CSA joint meeting next year. Since this current joint meeting is being held in the Maldives, which is part of the UNWTO Commission for South Asia, the next joint commission meeting will be hosted by a member country from the Commission for East Asia and the Pacific. This is in line with the rotational rule which members of the two commissions endorsed in 2005 during the 46th Commission for Southeast Asia and the 42nd Commission for East Asia and the Pacific, respectively. I have been informed by the Secretariat that Cambodia has presented its candidature to host our next joint meeting. And so it is with great pleasure that I invite Cambodia to say a few words. Cambodia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Once more, I believe that this is our second time for some of us to have physically reconvened. And here again on the beautiful archipelago. Our first time was at the ASEAN Tourism Minister Forum in President Wil Province in Cambodia. This important event resulted in the ASEAN Tourism Minister consent to announce gradual opening of the ASEAN Tourism Forum. Since then, we have noticed with pleasure that many countries in the region has been gradually opening, and the international border for traveler, tourists, business person, investor, regionally and globally. In particular, I have the great pleasure and privilege representing His Excellency the Minister hereby to affirm that I invite you to view the 30-second video clip on Cambodia next destination as the next host for the aforesaid mentioned UNWTO event respectively. We look forward to welcoming you and seeing you again in Siem Reap, home of the World Heritage, Cambodia, Kingdom of Wonder. Thank you.
Next, for your future. Next experience. Next adventure. Next discovery. Next inspiration. Your next destination. Cambodia. Kingdom of Wonder.
Well, thank you, Cambodia. Anyone? If there are any other comments from members of the Commission for East Asia and the Pacific? Well, if there are no further observations or comments, we consider by consensus Cambodia as the next host of the 35th CAP-CSA joint meeting in 2023, and we would like to congratulate Cambodia. The date and other details for the hosting of the event will be discussed in consultation with the Secretariat, and members will be informed accordingly. So on that note, we have come to the end of our meeting. On behalf of the two commissions, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to all present for attending this joint meeting and taking part actively in the discussions. Excellency, Secretary General, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us today and contributing to the great deliberations of today's joint meeting. Perhaps I would like to also invite maybe the chair to, maybe he would like to say some words to the delegates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Well, we are coming to a conclusion of this one. I wish to thank UNWTO and team for making this event happen here in the Maldives, and I wish to thank wholeheartedly all of you for taking time to attend our country, and also those who joined virtually. Thank you all. I think this event sends a very strong message that we are almost back in business. Of course, this is one of the many events that we are having to celebrate our 50th anniversary, the Golden Jubilee, and hence we have got one of the main events, UNWTO Global Summit on Community-Based Tourism, that we will start tomorrow here, and also that is followed by 3 thematic sessions on community-based tourism, on community-based tourism, agro-tourism, and gastronomy tourism. Of course, I know we await for tonight's welcome dinner. It's full moon time, weather is good, and I hope we will have a nice evening. Before I conclude, let me once again thank UNWTO team, and also a special thank to Tourism Ministry team and our partners in organizing this event. Before final conclusion, once again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chair. Sekjen, maybe, what is any parting words? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, many thanks. As you well announced, the program is very attractive, dear Minister, designed by you and by your team. And it was a pleasure to listen all ideas. This is not end of our commission. Officially, commission is finished, but we always try to link other thematic sessions with the commission. And as Minister well announced, we have 3 additional meetings. Of course, and I know that you are participating in that discussions, and again, this floor and all these ideas are noted. We will come back to you to put on our future agenda, on our program of work, all your ideas. It was mentioned here, and I'm very thankful for your active participation. I want to welcome, first time ever, Singapore attended our regional commission meeting. It's a pleasure. I am sure, and I want to ask all our member states to support, to welcome Singapore one nice day like a new member of our organization. We are looking forward. Thank you again to be with us. I'm sure that you will give the capital positive messages, and very soon you will host another big event of UNWTO. Singapore's experience and history, which they made and you made, it's very important for us. That's why we need you with us in many, many different thematic things we are working on. Innovation, first of all, governance. I mean, many of them, you are quite advanced, and we need your experience, we need your knowledge, and that's why we want you to be a member of our family. I want to congratulate Cambodia for the next commission meeting. Count on our full support. We will be very happy to visit you, and after many years to be on ground. Cambodia, it's another fantastic touristic destination, especially for culture and tourism. I think it will be very interesting and important to be there and to discuss this kind of thematic issues. And to wish you all the best. Of course, next our very important meeting is in Bali, G20, as Madam Minister invited all of us. Will be great if you can put on your agenda Bali and Malaysia, of course, to attend, because we have the presence of G20 ministerial meeting the same time when we have, as I mentioned, our World Tourism Day. So let's celebrate and let's make bigger and much more stronger that event, and we will appreciate your presence in Bali. So wish you a nice stay. We will meet each other during these 2-3 days and enjoy weather, enjoy Maldives, and have a nice afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. I look forward to seeing you all again at 3 p.m. at the UNWTO Ministerial Roundtable on Tourism Resilience through Innovation and Digitalization in Asia and the Pacific. With that, I now declare the 34th CAP-CSA joint meeting officially closed. But before we leave, I'd like to invite our Regional Director, Mr. Harry Huang, to give us housekeeping announcements. Harry, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellency, distinguished delegate, I just want to give you 2 housekeeping announcements. One, the Minister mentioned that the Ministerial Roundtable will be held in this room at 3 o'clock. So please be here 10 to 3 p.m. after the lunch. And then the lunch hosted by UNWTO will be organized in the restaurant called Session. So if you come out of the event hall, that our friend MOT colleague will guide you with a boogie. So the restaurant is located the other side of the bridge called Session. So please come back here 10 to 3 for the afternoon session. And then lastly, that I mentioned this meeting is very historical. So to make history, we will have group photo outside of the venue. So please, all head of delegation, including affiliate member, including PATA and PTO, you are invited to have a group photo right now to the outside. Thank you.